1,500 people attempt climbing the Mount Everest every year. I'm sure most of you have dreamt of doing it. I have. Amongst us today we have a gentleman who has scaled the majestic Mount Everest twice. Well, that's not all. He's the first double amputee in the world to have accomplished this feat. He's a winemaker, a motivational speaker, and without a doubt a wonderful example of challenging the convention. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together to welcome Mr. Mark Inglis.
Thank you. Because when says kia ora, that's right, you say it back with even more passion. Wow. Challenging the convention. And kia ora! Well, that's a far better start. Welcome. Namaste, namaskar. Challenging the conventional. Like Vinny, I have a bit of an issue. Because I've never been conventional. I don't want to challenge the conventional. What I want to see in life is no limits. Because that's how I've had to live a lot of my life. I recently heard it said that in the current state, and it reflects exactly what you've just heard, stability is a liability. We need a bit of chaos. Now we need a bit of conflict. We need a bit of change. Because that's how we get real growth. Real growth. And we've heard so many great stories of growth so far today. But if you want to go and stand there, 8,850 meters above sea level, you cannot have any limits, especially if you're doing it on those. They redefine unconventional. I guess to understand where I come from, to actually have a view out of my office window. Have a look at this. This is Aoraki, Mount Cook. This is the Southern Alps of New Zealand.
Aoraki, Mount Cook. At 3,754 metres, it towers above the rest of the Southern Alps. First climbed in 1894, it attracts adventurers from around the world, all keen to conquer the many hazardous routes that take them to the top of New Zealand's highest peak. As many as 200 climbers attempt the ascent every year. The majority don't make it. It's unforgiving. 60 climbers have died on its slopes.
Welcome to my world. Welcome to the view out of my office window when I was just 18 years old. A search and rescue mountaineer at Mount Cook National Park. It was my passion. But it's a very dangerous place. It's a place where even if you're the expert, sometimes things don't work out.
The two Mount Cook search and rescue climbers have not been heard from for 7 days.
It was in 1982 on a training climb on the stunningly beautiful mountain. We got caught right near the summit in a terrible storm. But being a usual New Zealander, we had the optimism to think that, well, if you don't like the weather, wait 30 minutes. It's going to change. Well, we had to wait longer than 30 minutes. Stuck in our little ice cave, which was smaller than underneath your desk. Huddled in there. We waited, actually not 24 hours. We didn't even wait 127 hours. Remember that movie? I just saw it play on Indian TV. Young Aaron stuck in that canyon in Utah and having to cut his arm off after 127 hours. We sat in that little ice cave right there for 324 hours. That's 1,166,400 seconds. That's 13 and a half days. What do you do for all that time? Well, you focus, you concentrate. It was our responsibility to survive. After a few days, frostbite meant we weren't going anywhere. But then after 13 and a half days, the weather cleared. And we were able to close what we called Middle Peak Hotel. Close it and head away to hospital. We thought we'd lose a few toes. Well, actually, we came to understand we were going to lose more. If you want to challenge the conventional, that's about embracing change. And my gold standard for change is at Christmas Eve, 1982. Those feet were killing me. At 9 o'clock, a surgeon came in and he put 2 lines just beneath my knees. Wheeled me into theatre and cut them off. The only problem is, you wake up the next day. You wake up on Christmas Day and you look down a bed and the sheets end halfway down. You've gone from someone in charge of other people's lives to someone who can't even go to the bathroom. Buried in pain. Buried in drugs. But the great thing was I was a young mountaineer. I lived my life in a frame of reference that's so much different to other people. From the age of 12, I was climbing mountains. I was putting myself in a position that might kill me. But I was doing something about it. And that's what we had to do. If we wanted to move on from there, we actually had to do something about it. Both Phil and I. And what we did? Well, what we did wasn't walking or running or anything. What we did was think. That's what TEDx is about. It was about thinking the unconventional. It was about understanding that there is not a double amputee mountaineer. That there is a mountaineer who will never get frostbitten feet again. Don't need to worry about that. You gotta love Facebook. You gotta love Facebook. This came through and bounced into my Facebook a wee while ago. And I think it just sums up. It sums up hopefully what TEDxSIBMBangalore is about. Hopefully it sums up what I'm about. Dear optimist, pessimist and realist, while you guys were busy arguing about the glass of water, I drank it. And that's about being an opportunist. It's about responsible optimism. It's not about, it's not about just having a rosy vision of the future. It's about doing something about it. Wow. I've had some great opportunities. Some great opportunities to take that thinking into other places. Places like this.
Now you see a double amputee with no cycling experience as a track or road cyclist until taking up the sport after the mountaineering accident. You may remember he spent 13 days in a snow cave in the Southern Alps, but now look at him go. A brilliant beginning by Mark Inglis. And he comes up with the time to beat at that stage. He's underneath, he's going well. He's in the lead. He's going well. Can he come out to the finish? Mark Inglis of New Zealand goes into the lead. 123.169. A brilliant ride. He really is an inspiration.
New Zealand's first ever Paralympic cycling medal. But you know what I saw when I stood there? Actually, what I saw was my other passion, my other love. What I saw in my mind's eye was putting those crampons back on and stepping back into the ice.
You can look long to see. Girl, have a little faith in me. Have a little faith in me. Every time you put the X in, you just think, oh, yes, absolutely. You know time is our friend. You have to do something regularly in your life to set new parameters. I think I'll come out of it a zillion stronger and with far less inhibitions for doing more things, I think.
You have to do something just that bit harder. But you have to have faith in yourself if you want to step further. You know, when I stood there on the summit of Aoraki in 2001, I saw my boyhood dream in my eye. Sagarmatha, Everest. I knew I could go and get it back. But the one thing I knew is I had to continually learn. You know, I walked the world like this. You know, these were a group of Buddhist nuns over in Hampi here in Karnataka. It's like, wow, I have people rush up and they grab me by the leg and want to have a good feel. But the one thing I've had to learn is if I take the responsibility of walking around in life like this, I have to take the responsibility that the first thing that people see is a double amputee. And that means what I've had to do is understand myself. What I've had to do is be able to look in a mirror and actually see the real me. There's a lot of people that don't. And if you can do that, then, you know, wow. Well, actually, India. I mean, I travel the world like this. You can imagine how long it takes me to get through an airport. But, you know, if you're going to do it India style, it's like, Mr. Mark, legs off, please, sir. Where else in the world? It's fantastic. You know, pop them on the X-ray machine, send them through. Ah, it's fantastic. But you have to be unconventional. You have to think unconventional. You have to do that to go there. That's a real challenge. Everest. I did it from Tibet, not from Nepal. It's high, it's cold. There's no air. It's a real challenge. But as long as you've got a great team. You can't go to Everest and expect someone to give you a hand up. What we've just heard previous to me is about personal responsibility. If you want to be a true member of a team, everyone has to take that responsibility, and that's what you have to do on Everest. Because when you step up high, they call it the death zone. I don't. I call it the must-do zone. And I'll tell you what, that's a must-do zone. The last day on Everest. That's a place where people die. People died on the day that we were up there. You see death, you need to understand it. That is a tough place.
After climbing on prosthetic legs for 47 days, Mark Inglis has made the summit of Everest. He's now the first man without legs to reach the top of the world.
Wow, the summit of Everest. What a phenomenal place. I just had an email this morning from a child in New Zealand, school's back. They're doing projects. Inbox is full. Mr. Inglis, what did it feel like to stand on the summit? Well, the first thing you feel is this incredible feeling of relief. But straight after, it's a much greater feeling of fear. The summit of Everest is actually only halfway. I mean, even a lawyer can't negotiate their way out of it. If you want to get down, it's a long trip down. The hardest thing I have ever done in my life was go from the summit of Everest down, all the way down and all the way home to New Zealand. But the thing that kept me going was my real team. Lucy, Anne, Amanda and Jerry. I hope you've got a team like that behind you. Hey, it was a bit of a chilly day on Everest. It was about minus 50 when we set off. It was minus 38 in the sunshine on the top. And I got a touch of frostbite. I knew it was happening, but I continued on. It's a decision that I made, and it's now a decision I live with the rest of my life. But that's okay, because that was my decision. It was a very tough day, though, as I found out when I took my legs off. That's how tough Everest is. We've seen some people here talk about doing the tough stuff today. That's the sort of sacrifices they've made as well. You know, everyone goes, you know, we're here to learn how to lead. We've heard from fantastic leaders this morning and this afternoon. But I believe to lead, you actually have to challenge the conventional, but you have to go one step further. You actually have to be the change maker. The person that makes the change. We've heard so many of those stories today. They are so phenomenally powerful. I've met some of your great change makers here in India. And nearly all of them will say, the biggest challenge is overcoming the gravity of change. That's what we've just heard about as well. How are we going to get everyone to come along? Because sometimes it feels like you're pulling a bullock cart of a whole nation behind you. It's about inspiring people. And that's what the team here are doing. It's about understanding that anything is possible. That's why I work with Bear Grylls. Bear and I, we work with scouts in around the world. Because it's a great way of putting challenge back into the thinking of the next generation. And that's essential. Well, you can make a difference if you try. Someone that's taken challenge and taken it to a level that I can't believe is my friend Tile. This is Tile's story.
Tile and I are about the same age. We lost our legs in the same way. We both lost them through frostbite 20 odd years ago. But the difference is that he's been walking around on his knees for 20 years.
As his old friend smiles in disbelief, Mark fits him up with a second chance.
This is one strong man. If anyone can do it, yeah, I think it's Tile here can do it.
This is Tile standing up for the first time in 20 years. This is Tile walking.
He's coming around pretty quick, huh?
Yeah, he's going very well. Stand up straight. Yeah, that's it.
To stand on the summit of Everest is one thing, but to see someone like Tile stand up, that's a far greater thing. The one thing I know is that to make a difference, all you have to do is just help one person. If you can change our life, it's been worth it. At Limbs for All, a very small charity, we're trying to do even more than that. We work with people in Nepal, we work with people in Cambodia. We hope to work with people here in Bangalore at SSK. They do a fantastic job of tutoring and giving opportunity to severely physically disabled people, giving them jobs. Well, actually, I want to give them a bit more. I want to give them a challenge. We want to get a set of basketball or perhaps even rugby chairs in there. And let's let them take it to the next level. My passion is to interpret things. You know, I can give away wheelchairs, but the thing I really want to give away is the understanding of attitude. Is the understanding of what we're doing here at TEDx. It's opening people's minds to the ability to do anything. It's actually summed up pretty well by someone that I truly respect.
Mark, I'm Michael Palin. I've never met you, and quite frankly, I hope I never do, because you'd make me feel so completely inadequate. I mean, you make the journeys I've done over the last 19 years look like wandering around in a back garden. You make the Black Knight in Monty Python and the Holy Grail look like a complete wimp.
You remember the Black Knight? He was a fantastic guy. He was having that fight with the White Knight. He had both arms cut off. He ended up both legs cut off. He's down there on the ground and he's going, "Come back and I'll bite you in the kneecap." That's some of the inspiration I've been able to use for the things that I've done.
The challenges you overcome and the inspiration you give to people are absolutely fantastic. You've changed the meaning of the word impossible, and I envy you and I admire you. So I'm very glad tonight to have been a little part of your life. Good luck with everything else you do. And if you want a bit of advice, just 3 words from an old fart: be more careful.
And it's advice that I'm trying to learn to take, because I'm trying to learn from the past. I understand, and you've heard so many stories about people taking the first step, but they're never stopping. And then most importantly, when you get there, when you win 2 of those Microsoft Imagine Awards, it's not about stopping there. It's about seeing that you can go even higher.
I'm never going to be as physically able as a really fit, able climber. I'm not the equal of them, but I'm the equal of the mountain.
I will never be the equal of an able-bodied mountaineer because I don't have legs. But I can actually be the equal of any challenge I take on. And my challenge to you is to see what I saw. Standing there on the 15th of May at 7 in the morning, 2006, watching the sun come up, that was when I realised I could be even greater than any challenge I take. And that's my challenge to you. Thank you, TEDx.